Hello everyone, my name is Singh. I am Android GDE and I am from Montreal, Canada, working as a mobile software engineer at Manulife and co-organizer at GDG Montreal. So today we will discuss about the unified API which is introduced in Android 12, and this API helps us to support rich content insertion in Android applications. So we will see how we can integrate this API into our Android applications. So what is unified API? So if in Android applications, if we want to provide a support users so they can add images or GIFs as an input to the application, in that cases, this API helps us to implement that functionality in Android applications. And this API is available from Android X for the backward compatibility. So it based on your requirements, you can use this API to support the rich content insertion in Android apps. So how this API works, this is basically a interface with the single function that we need to override in our application, which is called on receive content listener. And then we need to add this implementation to the view where we want to provide a support for inserting media like images or videos, etc. in the Android application. So now I will show you the code, how we can actually implement this in our Android application. So this is basically the sample application that I have created. So as we have discussed earlier, we need to override the on receive content listeners method, which is on receive content. And here we provide the details of the implementation, how we gonna handle the payload, like whenever there is a new insertion happens in the application. For example, user copy paste or drag and drop some media from different applications to our application. And so in this case, I have this on receive content method which is overridden here. So based on the URIs, I have partitioned the payload. So we have created two pairs, like the first one where we have the valid URIs, and the second component where we don't have the URIs. For example, in case of plain text, we don't get the URIs. And in other cases like images or videos, we get the URIs that we can use to load images or videos into our Android applications. So then if you see here, I'm just processing the first part here, like the pair.first, and I just loop through the items, like how many items are there, and then just calling the content resolver that if you see in the code, I have passed as a parameter to the rich content receiver class, which takes two parameters, URI and the source. So we also have the access to the source, like from where that input is coming. For example, is it from within the same application, or is it from the clipboard, or is it from other sources? There are a couple of sources. I will show you the code later about that one. So once you have done the rich content receiver implementation, then we need to use that receiver implementation and add the delegate to the particular view where we want to process that input. So in this case, I have defined the content resolver, which takes two parameters, URI and source. And these are the couple of the sources that we can check, like from where the input is coming. For example, application, clipboard, drag and drop, and then the input method. So once we have defined the content resolver here, I'm processing the images. If you see here, I have checking the MIME types. I have get the type for the given URI and then check the MIME type for that. If it's the image, I'm using the coil library for loading images into image views. So if you see, this image view is from the XML file, which is open on the other right side of the screen, which is this image holder. So I just find view by ID and then load the image into that one. And the second thing is about videos. So I'm checking if the MIME type is video. I have used the video view here in the XML file and then just loading the URI, that given URI into that video holder. So that's how we can actually define the content resolver, like how we're going to process the input that is coming through the different sources. And the last option, which is like adding the receiver implementation that we have just done, to the view where we want to provide the support for rich content insertion. So in this case, I have added we have method from the view compact, which is called set on receive content listener, and it takes three parameters. The first one is the view where we want to delegate that. The second is the MIME types that we are going to support. For example, in our case, if you see here, I'm going to support the images and videos. And the last thing is the implementation of the content receiver that I have earlier shown you. So that's all. So this is the implementation. And once we have done this, whenever there is an input based on our implementation of the receiver, we will process the input. For example, we are loading the images, we are loading the videos from the given URI based on their MIME types. Last thing I also want to show you here is like the processing the payload. So whenever there is a content received to the application, if you see, the return type of this method is content info compact, which is nullable. So if you are processing all the inputs in this method, for example, you are taking the responsibility of handling all the possible cases of input. For example, if it's images, videos, or plain text, then you can just return the null here, so that it tells to the system that you are handling all the inputs by yourself. But if you want to delegate the rest, like the some part of the input to the payload to the system, you can return that part. So in this case, I am only processing the first part where I have the valid URIs for the clip data. So if you see here, I am only processing if pair dot first is not null, that means there is a data which has a valid URIs. And after that I am just returning the second part where I don't have the URIs, and the system will automatically process that data. And based on the view where we have added the receiver listener, it will check if the input is it can be handled by that particular view or supported by that view. It will process that accordingly. So that's all about the how we can use this API to support the rich content insertion in our Android applications. So we already have existing solutions, but this is far better than the existing solutions. So for example, if you want to support the drag and drop and copy and paste in with the help of the previous or the existing solutions, you need to provide a different implementation for all these features. For example, for copy paste, there is a separate solution. Then for the drag and drop, there is another implementation that you need to do. So but with this API, it's just like a one single source of implementation. So you just need to implement one receiver, which is on receive content listener, and then you can just provide the implementation there, whatever you want to support in your application. So now I will show you the demo of the copy paste and the drag and drop in Android application. So this is the copy paste. I am copying the image from Google Chrome. If you see here, I just copy the image and then I just paste the image into the image view. And the second is I've opened my two applications in my device, and you can see how we can actually implement the support the drag and drop. So yeah, that's all about the unified API. I hope you have learned something new. Thank you.